5:38, 5:40 in the morning. I'm flying out this morning to LA to go and see my dad for probably the last time. So he's not doing good, and I just have a gut feeling, that his body's starting to shut down now, because he can't tolerate even sips of water. So if he can't tolerate sips of water, he can't tolerate any food, which means he can't eat. And if he doesn't eat, it's just a matter of days. So tomorrow's his birthday. Tomorrow he will be 91 years old. Yeah, I just wanted to document today because it's just surreal. I'm scared of feeling. I'm scared of. I'm at peace with my dad passing. I'm at peace because he's at peace. I'm at peace because my mom's at peace. But I don't know my life without my dad. I don't know what kind of feelings there's gonna be because I've never been here before. I don't know how that's gonna hit me. So I just feel it in my heart. He's not gonna make it to the end of next weekend. So today is September 15th, 2021, and it's my birthday today. And kind of a bittersweet, I guess, because I'm in Los Angeles here with my dad, and he was having something going on still on that left side that, I don't know if it was radiating pain from maybe some heart attacks he was having, I don't know, or some strokes, I don't know. And we didn't get tests and stuff done because we know he's been getting close to this point. On the 8th, he was, at the 7th too, he was having pain that night. I got up a couple times during the night to give him some of his morphine. The 8th, he was panicky. He was in so much pain that he was crying out. So I gave him a Xanax to calm him down with the morphine again. And then it knocked him out for like 20 hours. So that was the first time he had a Xanax, and it knocked him out for almost 20 hours that day, or that time. He then would come out, in and out of sleep, I guess. But every time he would wake up, he would be in pain. He would be in a lot of pain. You don't want that. So I continued to give him his medicine, which was, now at this point, they switched him over to liquid morphine and fentanyl patches. He was watching TV with my mom on the 2nd, and I snapped a picture of them. He was holding her hand. He's gotten to the point where he didn't want to be by himself. He wanted Mama to be there. So she was. There's a picture where he was listening to, here it is, praise and worship, and he was kind of real, he was like out of it, very groggy, but we had the tablet next to his head, and he was just raising his hand, and he's going with the music like this, and then he was like falling asleep, and his hand was going down. That was, it says Thursday, which was the 9th. And that was probably the last reaction that we had from him. Oh, he did have a waking moment a couple days later, but he didn't seem like he was really there, but he was reaching out. He hadn't eaten on the 8th or the 9th, 10th, up until today. He hasn't eaten or drank any water. So he's gone about 8 days or so, 7 to 8 days without solids and fluids. So it's just hard. On Saturday, the 12th, or the 11th, my mom and I were talking about his funeral and stuff, and she was like, I know what I want him to wear. He has a really nice jacket, and I know he has a white shirt that I think that I really like on him. And I was like, okay, we'll take that out. We'll leave it out, and then when the time comes, we'll, bathe him really good, and we'll dress him up, as dapper as he was. So we did that on Saturday. From singing and talking and laughing on the 4th of September to now, the 15th of September, it just was a rapid drop, you know. And he's a toughie. Man, it's just so hard. I've never lost a parent before. I've had them both all these years, all my life. And I honestly, and it sounds maybe cliche, I don't know, but I really don't know what the world is going to be like without being able to talk to my dad. But I don't know. Exhausted. So I don't want to see my birthday now as the, you know, the day that Dad died. I want to see it as the day that Dad was free from pain, and celebrate that he hung in there with me for my birthday, you know. I don't know if he's waiting till tomorrow or what is he doing, but I don't want to see this as a bad thing. But it feels weird not to hear his voice. So we're going to have a baby shower on October 2nd for Anthony and Mo. And then probably that weekend, I'm going to go back home. And my mom asked me if she can come. I was like, yeah, come. But she has not left my dad's side over the last 2 years. She's been with him every single day, bathing him, feeding him, all of that stuff for the last year and a half. As tired as she got, she didn't give up. She kept on him, and he would like, no, it's fine, just stop wiping me, you know, it's okay. And she's like, no, I'm not gonna leave you, you know, half done and whatever else. And he would get frustrated with her, and she would get frustrated with him. But nope, I'm telling you, even the hospice nurses this last couple weeks, every time they would come, they would say, oh my gosh, he is like, his skin looks so good. Like, he doesn't have not one sore. He doesn't have scratches, bruises. She'd make him almost anything that he wanted for dinner. She'd go to the store when somebody was home to sit with Dad. She would run to the store, grab him some steak, like a few pieces, and she would package them and freeze them so that whenever he wanted a steak, she could just pull it out of the freezer that day and fry it for him with a little bit of rice or a little bit of mashed potatoes. And yeah, she would do that. And they didn't have the easiest marriage, but she stood by him till the very end. Still, she's in there right now. And she'd go over there, hi, Papito, kiss him on his face and his hands and his chest, lay her head on his chest. And it's so sweet to see that she still was so loyal, you know. He was a little brat. She's a brat in her own way too, but it's nice to see. It's just such a testimony to love, you know. I've been married for 58 years. Anyways, I just wanted to record some of this and my feelings and stuff. And it being my birthday, it doesn't feel like, oh God, it's a taboo thing, or it's an honor to have been here with my dad. It's an honor to have been here back and forth. Overall, my dad took good care of us and tried his best with them. You know, he only had like a 3rd grade education, you know, but he would sit with us and he would talk to us about life. So he lived a long life till now, 2021. It's 1:10 in the morning on September 18th. Dad is still hanging on. Since the 8th of September, the medications that he was on had him completely relaxed and pain-free. It's been going on for days. Today is day 10. Technically day 10 because it's past midnight. But it's day 10 and Dad he's still breathing. And he just broke open with his very, very first bed sore 2 days ago, which today, it's Saturday now, so this was Thursday morning. We noticed he had a bed sore for the first time on his tailbone. Thank God it happened while he was in this state. He's kind of in a comatic state. He's not responsive at all. They said that he can hear us, which we've been talking to him all these days. But he's in his last hours now, I believe. He has very slow, shallow breaths. I just sent my mom out to the guest room because she said, I can't see him like this. I can't do it. I told her, you don't have to be in here if you don't want to. It's okay. So I sent her to the guest room so I can stay here with him because I honestly feel like he's gonna go in the next few hours. But I've been thinking that all day since yesterday morning. I was shocked to see that he was still, alive. But he's been breathing and hanging on, and we don't know how he's doing it. The doctor says, and the nurses that come say, wow, he's been hanging on this long. So I'm getting up every so often to check his breathing, but I need to get sleep or I'm gonna pass out tomorrow or later. I'm gonna sleep on my mom's bed and set my alarm every hour to give him medicine and to see if he's breathing. We've all said our goodbyes, we've laughed and, we've kissed him, we've told him, it's okay to go, Papi, it's okay. We've moved him twice today to change his diaper, and he was had that face like he's in pain. So, morphine all day. This is so difficult, my God. It's hard to see my dad like this, Anyways, it's 1:15 now, so I'm gonna lay down, try and get a little bit of a sleep. It's gonna be hard though. The sound that you hear is the oxygen tank. It's a motorized one. I checked his diaper a couple hours ago and he didn't have any more pee in there. And I pray to God he doesn't, because he's got a really bad bed sore now in his tailbone. And I don't want to move him. Oh my God, it breaks me that he's feeling pain when we move him. If we don't move him and we leave him be, he's fine. We're all prepared sort of for this. We've never been through this before, but we knew that his day was coming. We've seen him gradually decline over the last year and a half. And then over the last 2 weeks, with that last bout with the gallbladder, that, man, he was throwing up and he didn't have any food in his system for a few days and he was trying to throw up. And he felt like his ribs were broken from that last bout of nausea and vomiting. I don't know if he's gonna make it to midday. But again, we didn't know he was gonna make it 10 days. So anyways, I'm gonna go lay down and I'll check in later. It's September 19th. It's like 5 o'clock now. My dad stopped breathing at about 4 o'clock. And then I didn't hear a heartbeat at 4:08. He went peacefully though, and all of us were there surrounding him, so it was really nice. I don't even know what to say. I don't know why I started this video. I called hospice and they're gonna be here in about 20 minutes or 15 minutes or something, so I'm gonna go and see about getting him washed up and stuff and dressed so they can contact the funeral home and they can come get him. So today is, can't remember what day it is, Wednesday, September 29th, and it's been a week and a half since my dad passed away. I haven't recorded since I think the day before that. I can't even remember, but it's been a while, probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, since I last recorded about my dad. Where do I start? Let me see, I got here September 2nd, the day before his birthday, his 91st birthday. When I got here, he was off of the IV the day before, and either it was the night before or the day that I got there that he started to get nauseous and wanted to throw up. He was already having what they call secretions, which is kind of something that happens towards the end of life. They start getting this like runny mucus that was hard for him to cough up. So we put him on atropine. Actually, there was another medication that we put him on first. It was a tablet to dry him up, and that lasted about 5 days maybe, because then the oral morphine, the tablet morphine that he was on, was not helping. So they switched him on to fentanyl. Skipping a few days, he eventually, the fentanyl patches and the morphine extended release were not working anymore. So they decided that, and he was where he was crying out in pain. My mom would wake me up in the middle of the night, a couple times during the night, to give him some liquid morphine for breakthrough. And he was getting agitated, and he was getting very fatigued. He was getting almost panicking a little bit, because it was times too that when he was having so much pain, he felt like he couldn't catch his breath. There was a few times where he felt, and I believe it was a stroke, he said his arm felt weird. He said, "Me siento raro," meaning I feel strange, and he kept saying that he felt a tightness in his arm, in his left arm. He would have a burning in his chest, almost always when he was drinking water. Almost always happens with water. So they started him on a thickener as well. We put that in his water, in his coffee, in his juice, in his broth. Come around on the 4th of September, where my dad was barely eating because he wasn't able to really swallow anymore. So it was really difficult to get him to take his pills. So they switched him onto full-time liquid morphine every 2 to 4 hours. He would have bouts of some nausea, so I was doing the Zofran. He was put on later on, like a couple days later, on some atropine, which they were just liquid drops under the tongue to help him still with that secretions to keep him dry. The 7th in the evening, or the 8th in the evening, he wanted some caldo de pollo, some soup. It was like a veggie soup with chicken. And I chopped and squished everything up because he couldn't swallow. But he would swallow the liquid, and he just was chewing on the actual food parts that were not really smushed. And he had to spit that out. He couldn't eat that. So he had maybe a full bite maybe of that veggie chicken soup. And then he wanted the caldo. He asked for the caldo, which is the broth. I helped him put the cup to his mouth, and he took about a couple of sips of the broth, and he was like I'm done, I don't want any more. On the 8th, he had, now he was already, because he was agitated and was on morphine, we took him off the morphine pill, gave him morphine liquid. He was on atropine. He was a little bit groggy from that. And because he was having, like, in between the doses of morphine, he was having pain. He would get agitated, and he would get a little panicky, like, and he would cry out, like, he would have that look of like, oh my God, make it stop. We also put him on Ativan. We knew that we had to keep that pain under control, but at the same time, keeping that pain under control, the medications that he needed was also sedating him. So as it was sedating him, he went from the 8th was the last time he had a half of a spoonful of coffee that had, because he likes it. Okay, so step back. One of his favorite things for breakfast is to have a Mexican roll called a bolillo, and we'd slice it like they're like this, they're like long ways. So we'd slice it this way, so they look like discs, almost like a bigger baguette kind of a bread. Put it in the toaster a little bit, put a little bit of butter on it, and then he used those almost as if it was a biscotti, and he'd just dip it in his coffee, and he would take a bite out of his of the bread that's soaked with coffee. He loved that. So he asked my mom he said cafe, and my mom brought him a itty bitty bowl, just like a sauce little bowl, had a little bit of coffee in it and a little piece of bread in it, and she just smushed it around, and I put some of the thickening powder in it, and he could only have one sip. He couldn't have any more after that. that was the last thing that he had. And then he didn't really wake up anymore after that. Medications, like I said, kept him pretty sedated. It kept his pain under control. And he would only wince when we had to roll him over so we can change his diaper. So from September 8th to probably about the 12th, I think it was on the 12th, he woke up. He woke up kind of half awake, and I called everybody because I didn't know what was going on. From what I understand now, when they're during this time of the end of life, there's these surges of energy where they can open their eyes and they can have hallucinations. They can, they'll be reaching for somebody that's not there, or they're seeing somebody, or trying to talk to somebody, or trying to talk to us. It looked like, because my mom was standing to my dad's left, and he was reaching with his right hand, and it was my mom that was there, but he was grabbing her kind of in a way that he didn't realize it was her. And it looked as if he was seeing right through her, as if somebody else was standing behind her. A couple times he said ma, and then he said mama, and he calls my mom mama, but his mom also passed away, and I don't know if he was seeing her. It was sweet and it was sad at the same time. But she was talking back to him, just in case we didn't want to just let him be like all willy-nilly and just talking to whoever. We were talking to him, we were kissing on him, we were holding his hand, and he would like just keep reaching and reaching. That lasted maybe 10 minutes or so. And then he put his arms down, and then he closed his eyes, and he went back to sleep. That was actually September 11th. That was September 11th. We were told that because the doctor came to visit just the Friday before and said that Dad probably had hours to just a few days left. And that surge of energy happened the next day on Saturday, on the 11th. And then he went back to sleep, and then he never woke up again. The 18th, which was the next Saturday. So I'd get up every hour, check his vitals, but every 2 I would check his vitals and give him his medicine. And I was swabbing his mouth because it was so dry. Saturday night, 8 or 9 maybe, he started to have different kinds of breathing. There would be moments where he would have apnea, where he would stop breathing 10 seconds, 8 seconds, something like that. Then he would catch his breath again. And then they would just get longer between. And then he would have really low, shallow breaths for, a few hours. Sunday morning came on the 19th. We noticed in the morning a little bit more changes to his breathing. There were longer pauses. There was, there's a few of the things that happened where nurses would come, like on the 11th, on the 10th, that they looked in his eyes and opened his eyes to put the light in front of his eye to see if there was any reaction with the pupil. And his eyes weren't reacting anymore. She came back the following Monday to check on him again, and there was some growth, some white growth growing over the top of the eye. That was the 13th or so. And then like on Wednesday they came, which was like the 15th or so on my birthday. It was my birthday. She noticed more growth on the eyes. The next Sunday, fast forwarding and stuff, I'm heading around 1 or 2 o'clock. His breathing was a lot less. There was no strength in it. There was no pull. His body was making the reflexes like it was trying to pull in air, and it was doing it very, very lightly. We noticed a change again in his breathing, which in my opinion was the agonal breath sounds. And I listened for breath sounds, and I couldn't hear the whooshing very much. It was very, very, very faint. his pulse. I couldn't hit the pulse oximeter monitor that I had on his finger was not reading his pulse ox anymore. I was feeling for his pulse on his wrist, and I could feel it, but it was very faint. I was monitoring, every like 10-15 minutes. 3 o'clock rolls around, and his breathing was close to nothing. His breathing was so slow and so weak that whatever he was pulling in was just enough to fill his mouth and come back out. That's all I could feel, because I couldn't hear any breath sounds. If there was any coming through the lungs, it was so faint, so little, I couldn't pick it up at all. Around 10 after 3, something like that, I called everybody, because I told them, look, I think Dad's taking his last breaths. It was just that kind of breathing, just like that. But it was a lot fainter, it was a lot weaker than that agonal breath sounds I was thinking, because I was reading up on things too. It can last anywhere between 10-15 minutes until the heart stops, and then or their breathing completely stops, and then the heart stops, and then the brain completely shuts off. So normally you'll hear that for 10-15 minutes, and Dad went on for about 50 minutes. And maybe the last 5 minutes, they were about 30 seconds apart. And around 4:06, 4:07, 4:08, because I was trying to check like every 30 seconds, every minute. I couldn't hear any breathing at all. Again, there was hardly anything coming through his mouth anymore. I couldn't really feel any air coming through his mouth anymore. And I couldn't hear any more breath sounds at all. I couldn't feel the pulse in the wrist at all. I listened for his heartbeat, and it was faintly there. And then the next minute, I went to listen. I couldn't hear anything, and you can see it in his face. He was just gone. And I told my mama, he's gone. And so, of course, we stood there and we said goodbye. Mom had been reading some scripture out loud during those last almost hour. She sang to him. We played a little bit of his favorite song, a couple Glenn Campbell songs during that last hour. We kissed him. We hugged him. We told him we loved him. We said goodbye. I stepped outside and I called hospice. They sent over the social worker to document that there was no more vitals. I had to call his sister, my aunt. I had to call her to tell her that he passed away. It was so sad. We expected it. We knew that he was going in peace. He wasn't hurting. We knew that we had this whole year and a half to say goodbye. We pampered him. We babied him. We spoiled him. We told him we loved him all day long. We were at peace. We knew he was going to go. It was probably the most merciful death that I can think of, that I know of, that the hospice nurses told us of. They said, you guys are making our job easy. And I'm like, Mama is. My mom took care of him very well. Even though she had that issue with her shoulder, she wanted to give him whatever he wanted. So he'd ask for steak. He would only have a bite. She would stand in the kitchen for an hour cooking, try and feed him. He'd only eat a bite. She was like, it's okay, Papito, it's okay. He didn't have a sore on his body, not one sore. The year and a half he was in bed, not one sore. She would even have Tony my brother put him in the wheelchair, when he was awake and stuff. She'd go get a bucket of water. She'd soak his feet and give him a pedicure. I have pictures of that. Let me show you. Even though she was hurting, she would bathe him. Even though she was hurting, she would feed him whatever he wanted, even though she was hurting. She'd get up 3-4 times at night because he wasn't sleeping in. Didn't know what day it was. Didn't know what time it was. She did good. Mama did good. I had to go back and forth to Washington to go home, but I knew this last trip back was going to be the last trip that I would make back for my dad. And I'm glad that I came back. You know, we celebrated his 91st birthday. 2 days later, I got here on the 2nd. His birthday was on the 3rd. We celebrated on the 4th. My dad even made a mention that, you know, that he was very, very blessed. He felt very blessed. He loves having all of his kids together. I called my aunt and she wanted to see him. I showed my dad to her. We were able to bathe him right after, put his clothes right after, and waited for Manny, my husband, to come the next day. He was not able to get a flight that day. It was already like 5 o'clock at that time when I told him what was going on after I had called hospice and his sister and all that stuff. I sent a mass text to everybody that Papi died. And so he was getting on to get a flight, and he couldn't get a flight till the next day. Manny had his moment with Papi, and then we called the funeral home, and they came and picked him up. The next day we had double medical equipment through Kaiser. They came and picked up his bed and the wheelchair, IV pole and stuff. And we started going through, my mom, actually, she needed to do this though. Before he passed, she pulled out his clothes, but after he passed, we got him dressed and stuff. She started to pull out all of his clothes, and she couldn't sleep in the room for like 3 days. I'm gonna take my mom back to Washington with me on the 7th of October. And she's gonna stay there with me for a couple of months and just kind of change the scenery, get out of the room, get out of LA. And I'm just gonna try and spoil her, so. It's just been a sad September. It's been a bittersweet September. Anyways, we are scheduled to entomb Papi in his crypt for tomorrow afternoon, and at 2 o'clock. So the hospice nurses were amazing. If anybody's in LA and you don't know which hospice, if you have the option to choose which hospice group you'd like to work with, we worked with Rose Room, ROZE Room, out of Long Beach. They did a great job. So I thank you guys from the Rose Room. Thank you so much for taking care of my dad and helping me with everything. Tomorrow, I might just film a little bit on my phone. It'll be final after that, you know. So I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching so far. Yeah. Have a good one. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye. Hey everyone, this is Jules. Thank you for stopping by my vlogging channel today. I thought it would be a good idea to kind of check in with you guys and let you know what's been going on the last few months since I have not been posting any videos for the last like 3 months or so. So I just want to come on today with my mom. This is my mother, Victoria.
Hi.
You have to talk to them there and there. Hi. So I did post on on Instagram that I was going to be leaving and going back to LA because my dad had been worsening. He said, if God is ready to take me, I'm ready to go. He had made his peace with God. He prayed about it, and he told us kids, you know, I don't want to be in a hospital. I don't want there to be any, if there's complications, it's going to just send me right back to the hospital. I'm done with doctors. I'm done with hospitals. I don't want to do it anymore. If I'm going to die, I want to die at home. So we respected his wishes, and we talked to Mom too, me and Tony and Lisa. Now, Tony and Danny are my older brothers, and Danny's not so involved because it's really difficult for him to comprehend certain things. So me and Tony and Lisa were mainly consulting with Mom and talking with Mom about what to do with Dad. So it just slowly became to where he was just getting worse and worse. But, you know, being 90 years old at that time and having had strokes, had been already bedridden. He slowly was not even able to stand up in bed anymore. Not in bed, but wasn't able to stand up out of bed with his walker. He said he didn't trust his knees, and his knees were like super weak and they would hurt. And he couldn't stand up straight anymore. He was always standing like leaned over. So we knew it was getting closer and closer. Yeah. So September 3rd came, and it was Dad's birthday, and we were waiting for Anthony to come from Arizona. You know, my kids live out here in the Northwest, and they were not able to leave. They had already talked to him, did video calls and stuff, and we're down in LA for my dad's 90th birthday. And I'll put in a picture of that, of us singing him happy birthday.
We love you, Dad. Love you, Papi.
We sang and we had a little party for him for his 90th. It was really sweet. Tony found a Peruvian band that would play music for him that was like old stuff that you and him remembered, huh? Yeah. They were singing along. There was a moment where Dad had cried because, I don't know, it's touched his heart. And he's a very sensitive person, huh? Yeah, it is. He was very sensitive, very like, I don't know, like any little thing of a memory, of a sweet memory, he would tear up. So that was really nice to be able to have celebrated with almost everybody. That was, you know, all of his grandkids and great-grandkids and stuff here. On the 4th, when Anthony got there from Arizona, we bought him a cake, and we all sang happy birthday to Dad for his 91st in the bedroom, in bed, while he's in bed. And it made me a little sad, you know, that, you know, when you were giving him cake, a little bite of cake, he couldn't eat the bread. Remember, he was chewing it and chewing it and chewing it and chewing it, like he was sucking on it because he was, I don't know if he was scared to swallow or he felt like he couldn't swallow. So Mom just got a tissue and he just spit it out because he couldn't swallow that bread. He was already to that point he wasn't eating. You know, I guess this video is more to just, you know, I wanted to introduce my mom to you guys and just let you know that, you know, there's death that happens that are horrible deaths, and a lot of family members they can't recover from it. And I feel bad for people that have gone through that. We've always prayed that, you know, God would take Dad in the middle of the night in his sleep. Dad's passing was probably one of the most peaceful deaths I've ever seen. Like most people would want to pass away the way that my dad did, in peace and surrounded by his family, his wife for 58 years. And it was peaceful. It was hard for us to watch because we saw him deteriorate even more. So we decided to keep him as comfortable as possible, and had him on a couple of medications that kept his pain under control, as well as kept him sedated, so that his passing was easier for him. So literally he fell asleep and he didn't wake up again. I felt so much at peace with how Dad left. I think Mom did too, and we were all surrounding him for his last breath there's only one reason why we're so comforted. It's not only because God took him the way that he did, but we feel once he's made his peace with God and we believe where he's going, that in itself comforts us and gives us strength. So
I am sure that my husband went to the Lord because we were always talking about, like human beings, we have many things. Tenemos muchas cosas en nuestro corazón que no hemos querido aceptar, o no hemos querido perdonar, o no hemos querido hablar acerca de eso, pero hay un momento que nosotros los humanos tenemos que reconocer. Y yo estaba hablando con él y le dije, tenemos que ponernos de acuerdo con Dios, tenemos que pedirle perdón. Y me dijo, sí. Y entonces empezamos a hablar con él, cosas íntimas, cosas que ya nos han pasado, y pidiéndole perdón. Él fue tocado por Dios en su corazón. Puede ver sus ojos, sus lágrimas y el deseo de ser perdonado. Y eso causó algo muy grande en mi corazón, porque ni hay perfección en ningún ser humano, pero a través de su palabra hemos podido comprender que el amor de Dios es inmenso, inmensurable. Y le doy gracias a Dios por ello. Él tenía deseo de salir, de ir a algún restaurante, de pasear, cuando le decíamos, no podemos, no puedes. Y él sí entendía. Y lo que más recuerdo es que cuando salía con mis hijas a algún lado y nos demorábamos, él, aunque Tony se quedaba en la casa, y le decía yo, Tony te va a traer la comida y no sé a qué horas voy a regresar. Pero él se esperaba hasta que yo llegara, no sabemos, aunque sea a las 10 de la noche, para que yo lo limpiara, yo le diera de comer. Pero le doy gracias a Dios también por eso, por la paciencia que Dios puso, por el amor que Dios me ha dado para él en estos últimos años que han pasado. Porque sí, en realidad extraño a mi esposo, y le doy gracias a Dios por el tiempo que me lo dio y el tiempo que pude demostrarle mi amor.
People kept saying that, your mom seems like she's doing okay, and I'm like, well, yeah. And mom, she says that it's God's peace and strength that is pulling her through everything. She's doing okay. And she has her moments, don't get me wrong. She has her moments where she's, tears up and says that she misses him, or she still has her moments. She's human, and that was her husband for 58 years. No matter how rough or good that it was, she still is standing firm on God's peace and strength. So mom had asked me if she can come back to Washington with me. So we left on October 7th. We came back to Washington, and I had her with me. And I'm glad that she wanted to come, because months before this, because she was cleaning Dad all the time, and she would help him in the bed. We think that she probably tore something in her shoulder, because she's been having a lot of shoulder pain. She's been physical therapy, and it just hurts at night, and she's been going through this for months now.
Yeah.
So Mama's going to be here for the rest of October, all of November, and then we're probably going to fly back sometime around the weekend of December 4th or 5th, because you have a doctor's appointment. We got her an appointment for orthopedics. I just wanted to talk about, I think it's good to talk about things. I like to get things out in the open,
Yeah. Estoy de acuerdo también, porque es bonito recordar, y sobre todo yo le doy gracias a Dios por la paciencia, por el tiempo de Jules de estar allá y estar aquí y viajar. No es fácil, porque los tickets cuestan, y ha sido un poco, ¿cómo puedo decir? Un poco, no molesto, pero sí
It's just something that we have to do.
Amén. Yo pienso que no todos tienen ese amor para con sus padres, pero he visto un amor especial sobre mis hijos hacia su papá, que ha llenado mi corazón de esperanza, de gozo, y darle las gracias a cada momento a Dios por el trabajo que ellos han hecho, tanto Julie, hablando con los doctores, poniendo las cosas en su lugar, las medicinas, etc. También Lisa con la comida. Tony a cada momento le iba al lado de su papá y I love you daddy, I love you daddy, a cada momento y lo besaba y le hacía cariño y nunca, siempre lo he visto hacerlo, pero no de esta manera tan seguida, tan llena de amor, puedo decir, ¿verdad? Y todo eso me satisface y me llena de mi corazón de gozo, de alegría y de agradecimiento a Dios. Le doy gracias a Dios por mis hijos. Pues Elisa y Tony, que han sido siempre mi brazo derecho en la casa, porque con ellos vivo. Dani es muy, tiene un corazón muy lindo, pero a veces tiene como temor de hablar o de expresar, de que no tiene una cosa, tiene otra. Y también gracias a Manuel, ¿verdad? Por haberle dado el tiempo que necesitaba Julie para estar con su papá. Y él reconoce que ha sido duro también porque él no pudo estar cuando su papá partió. Entonces, quiero decir unas palabras que mi esposo dijo antes de quedar en coma. Dijo, quería vernos siempre como la gallina tiene sus pollitos. Que quería vernos así como la gallina tiene sus pollitos.
You want to say something?
Speech.
Thank you,
Thanks to God.
Yes, sir.
all my kids.
Of all my kids,
All I want.
all I want.
Mis pollitos están conmigo.
He said all he wants
of
is
us.
all my little
Yeah.
chickens right here with me, like a hen with all her chicks, right?
All I want.
Like a tune.
There's
One
one more
more.
coming, one more
One
baby
more.
coming, one more baby coming.
He said that's it.
Refiriéndose a sus hijos y a la familia. Y eso es algo muy grande, muy lindo, porque no todos tienen ese sentir.
Yeah, that was one of the last things he
Yeah.
said. And that was his big thing. Family was a really big thing to him. You know, he may not have been like the best husband in the world ever, but he was a good dad. He was a good dad.
Yeah.
And, you know, me and Tony and Danny, we feel, you know, we were raised by mom and dad. We didn't grow up with our family in Peru. It was just us five. We depended on each other, and we went off of what dad said, what mom said, and we didn't have aunts and grandparents to intervene or interject or influence at all. Although that's okay with some families and stuff, and if we would have had that would have been fine too. But I think that's what made us a lot closer, was that it was really just us five. I feel a huge responsibility to my parents, because I feel like even though they've gone through their things, there's just no way that I could, I don't know, just not be part of their lives. You know, there's just no way. I don't know. I miss dad, and I miss his little sayings, and I miss seeing him. And, you know, one of the most things that I miss more is that, you know, when he'd give me a kiss, it always felt like a little butterfly, because he was never a big smoocher, like a big wet smoocher. He would give me a little kiss, and it would be like a little butterfly just pecking on your little cheek, you know. And I miss that, because he was very tender as a dad. You know, rough when he had to be, but then, you know, he was, you know, very sweet and loved us dearly. So, and, you know, we're not the only kids that he has. He has 4 other kids that he wishes he could have had with him, and it just didn't work out that way. And I think that was a big regret in his life. So I think that when he couldn't give the other kids, he gave it to us. And I feel bad for the other kids, but I also feel blessed that he was able to share with us and show us his love and, you know, his principles and you know, just thoughts and teachings and things like that. So I just wanted to talk about Dad's passing, and I wanted to talk about it with Mom, because Mom's here. And so I think that's probably it.
Thank God. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your you're stopping by to watch the video and just listening in on, you know, our thoughts and what we went through with my dad. So I hope you guys have a great day. God bless. Thank you, Ma.